Hello, and welcome to Optimizing Human Potential, Mind, Body, and Soul, brought to you by the Holistic Therapies Directory. I'm Nicole Cruz, super busy mommy coach, helping busy parents reach high levels of fitness and health despite being burnt out, sleep deprived, and interrupted every 30 seconds.
And I'm John Kemp, functional strength and nutrition coach, and I teach people a holistic and scientific approach to improving their health using fitness, nutrition, and mindfulness.
Yeah. So we have something exciting coming up.
We do indeed.
Yeah. So on Friday, I will be hopping a plane to Seattle, where I'm going to meet up with you, John Kemp. And I'm so excited. So a lot of you might not know this. We've actually never met in person. We've been working online together for over a year.
Almost 2 years, dude.
Almost 2 years. Damn. But yeah, we've actually never met each other in person. And so on Friday, I finally get to meet this wonderful man. And then we'll be hitching a ride with a couple of friends/colleagues coming up from Portland. And we're going to be driving up through British Columbia, past Vancouver, to Quadra Island for the Radiant Well Care Summit, which I'm super excited about. And HTD is a proud sponsor of that, which we are very happy to see HTD and Radiant Well Care working together. So yeah, super stoked.
Got the banner coming in on lock. And what time are you flying in, by the way? Because I got to pick you up.
I was gonna ask you, like, am I Ubering it to your friend's place, or how's this
No,
going?
you're like less than 10 minutes from his house, from the airport. So I'm just gonna buzz over and grab you. But what time do you get in? Saturday morning?
Yeah, so I know it's like 1 o'clock in the morning my time, so it'll be like 10 or 11 o'clock your time.
Okay.
I'll send you those details.
That's Friday night?
Yeah, it's gonna be super late, man.
Okay. And are we leaving Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, we're leaving. We're Saturday morning. They're
Sunday.
picking us up.
Oh, okay. We're leaving Saturday. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'll come get you. Let me know your flight time. I fly in Thursday night, so I'll be getting there. I leave at 9 and I go 6 hours forward. So I'm going to be getting there at like 5 a.m. on Thursday or Friday. So yeah, I'll probably just sleep all day until I come get you.
Okay, cool.
I say that now, but I'm obligated to all my friends and colleagues in the Seattle area. So I'm going to be bouncing around. But yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I can't wait. The summit's going to be fantastic. We're going to hear from lots of amazing holistic health practitioners. Can't wait to collaborate with everybody and jumpstart that process. But today's episode,
Said camping out in the woods.
Yeah. Oh man, it's going to be wonderful. But today's podcast isn't about the summit, even though we're super excited about it. We are equally excited to be introducing you to Rich Ward, who we have on with us today. Rich Ward is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Impressive. He's also a health and wellness educator, active in his community, active in serving others, and he's a business owner and entrepreneur multiple times over. He's also a passionate runner and martial artist. He has pretty much everything you can imagine. Rich Ward, welcome to Optimizing Human Potential.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. Can you guys hear me okay right now?
Yeah,
we can hear you great.
Oh my gosh, I am so blessed and honored, and I'm very, very grateful to be here with you guys. Super exciting. I wish I could be just a fly on the wall at that health expo that you guys are going to, that retreat.
Yeah.
Next year.
Next year, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Especially with all the nerdiness that we'll be going over. Catherine McConkey, she is like one of the just like smartest women I've ever met in the area of nutrition and culinary arts. She recently did an event with Mark Hyman, and she's a big name. She's going to be doing all our cooking. She's our cooking queen. So next time, and we're going to be making sauerkraut this year too. So next time, you're going to love it, dude. You definitely love it.
Gosh, love it. Just to be in the same airspace sounds incredible.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing stuff. Definitely join us next year. But okay, so give us an idea of how you went from the Marine Corps to enzymes.
Yeah.
Right, right, absolutely. Well, it's a long story, you know, from the Marine Corps. It's that was my first exposure to mind over matter, right? If we don't mind, it just doesn't matter. You know, I realized the limits that we could press our human bodies to. That really gave me a whole lot in life through business, through work, just about everything. What it didn't prepare me for though was teenage daughters, but that's a whole nother. Yeah, my
You'll
daughters
never
are
be prepared
20,
for that.
right, right, kind of crazy. But so it wasn't up until 2016 is when I just met these gurus who have been just complete maniacs within the nutrition industry. We're talking plant nutrition, fresh and living foods. And so they influenced me, and they brought up these enzymes, and I was like, enzymes? I don't even know how to spell enzymes. And they did this crazy demonstration with a pudding pack, which I can show you here in a little bit. But when I saw what those enzymes do to process foods, and then they explained to me that enzymes are in everything that we do in life. They're in all plants and anything that's living. That it's the only reason why things live in this universe is because of enzymes. Mm-hmm. And it's very simple. And when I saw this, and at the age of, I was 45 years old at the time, and I just felt my body starting to break down here and there. And I never gave it any thought except contribution to older age, right? And then I spoke with Tylee and Loomer and Sean Loomer, and said, no, that's not normal. 45-year-old man should not be having aches and pains in their knees like how you're feeling right now. And you know, the reason why is because you're lacking the appropriate enzymes in your body to break down the foods to the smallest particles, to eliminate the toxins from your system faster, which enable your organs to work better and function the way that God intended us to function. That's why you're starting to have pains right now. It's like, that makes just so much sense. Why has nobody told me about this before? And it's because, you know, just follow the money. You cannot make money off of nature, you know. And so what we're doing, we're just, you know, I just love that idea about having a voice to start helping people to understand something like this, these enzymes, rather than going to their local pharmaceutical company to get what they want to cover up the pains that they're having, not to really fix the pains or why they're having those pains in their bodies. And so I was a big runner, and I still am today. Before the enzymes, I was starting to only average about 3 miles when I was running because of the aches in my knees. Only a week after consistently taking these enzymes, my average run is between 5 and 10 miles. Nice. No aches or pains in my knees ever. It's crazy what these do. So I'm pretty passionate about them now. I'm very passionate to get the word out, spread the word, scream from the rooftops, connect with holistic therapists and gurus, and let's just get the word out there. We can save people money. Medical bills out there. That's why I'm doing what I do today.
I mean, like, you just spewed so much gold. Okay, let me go back a second. So first of all, those of you listening on audio can't see Rich, but when you said, oh, back then I was 45, looking at you, I thought you were not a day older than like 36, 37.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, so
I didn't even think you were in the 40s.
Enzymes are doing something well, along with all the other healthy lifestyle choices you're making, of course, with your running and keeping up with that. But yeah, so if you're listening on audio, go and look at the video. And I'm blown away. But then you also said, like, life only exists because of enzymes. Like, whoa, like, get into that. I want to hear.
Yep. Well, it's again, I can go all night long, all day, whatever, just nerding out. You know, like you referred to, John. We can nerd out on this. There's some everything that I'm sharing. It's I'm just regurgitating what I've learned through these books and doctors who have been studying enzymes for, you know, since the 1930s. Mm-hmm. when enzymes were first discovered, it was thought that we only had just a half a dozen enzymes in our body. But now today, it turns out we have over 5,000 enzymes in our bodies. And life only exists, and the length of our life exists depending on the length of the life of the enzymes in our bodies. So once our bodies stop losing enzyme potential, that's when age sets in. And that's when we slowly our life starts to fade away. And life ceases to exist when enzyme life ceases to exist in our own bodies. It's very simple. And so the enzymes that we focus on is within the gut. And when anybody comes to us with any, I have to be very careful what I say because we're not doctors, right? This call is being recorded. We have to be very careful of what we say. We can't say that the enzymes cure X, Y, and Z. We're not allowed to say things like that. What we can say is that we know that the enzymes can help with X, Y, and Z. We just know these things. Okay, you're not shushing me. You're okay.
No. So for some, super busy mommy coach, we're actually recording this episode. I'm pretty much right next to my 4-year-old son, Eric here. Eric, do you want to say hi? Come here. He's trying to get me to buy him a toy.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
It's all good. Yeah, I love it. So what I was saying is just it all starts in the gut, right? What we ingest is what we are. There's so much reality to that, and I really did not put that in perspective until I was introduced to enzymes. Prior to the enzymes, I was exercising, running like crazy, but my nutrition was okay. What happened when I started to take the enzymes? My gut started to feel better. My organs started to feel better. And this is really crazy, and it makes so much sense now. The brain is an organ, right? And our gut is our second brain. As soon as my gut was feeling better, my body was feeling better, I started to make more wise and prudent decisions on what I was eating. So yes, some people can say, sure, it could be a placebo effect, or whatever it is, we're feeling better, we're eating better, everything about our lives just becomes better because of enzymes. There's studies out there that actually prove that life is extended an average of 30 years for people who are on an enzyme diet. It's kind of crazy to think about that. Then they ask, where does this come from? Well, there's been plenty of studies since the 30s from all sorts of animals. What I also loved is there's studies with the native peoples of the planet that are in existence today. The Eskimos is a very good example. Think about the Eskimos. The Eskimos eat a lot of raw, fresh and living foods from nature. They're not eating all the processed and cooked foods that we can buy in our grocery stores. Mm-hmm. As a result, the Eskimos have the lowest rate of heart disease, diabetes, anything that deals with blood disorders. The Eskimos rarely have those types of diseases that people who live in society that buy their foods from grocery stores. It's because of the enzyme diet that they have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Super simple.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what an enzyme diet is?
For sure. It's easy. Fresh and living foods. Okay. You take an apple, for an example. And again, I never thought I'd take an apple or a banana. A good one actually is a banana. And I've always wondered about this. Why do bananas all of a sudden start turning brown the second you take them out of the grocery store? You guys ever thought about that? I was like, how do they do that? Well, it's because they're taken out of that refrigerated environment. And once the enzymes begin to heat up that are in that banana, the enzymes begin to cannibalize that banana. So once you set that banana down over time, very rapidly, it's going to turn brown and pretty soon get gooey. Same thing with an apple. When you take a bite of a real apple, that apple is going to turn brown in the bite that you took a bite out of. If that apple is not turning brown, well, that apple's probably been radiated Like there's certain fast food places out there where they're very happy to show these apples that they're giving to the kids, but when you take that wrapper off, they don't turn brown at all. It's because that apple's been radiated and it's killed all those enzymes in that food. So that those apples are just about as healthy as those French fries. There's no nutrition to them because the enzymes were killed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, Fred, number one, what we really want to help people to do is we want to educate them to start eating better foods, their nutrition. Fresh and living foods, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, organic, right? And the reason why organic is so important is because there's no pesticides. Those foods have not been radiated. They're fresh, they're living, they're healthy. So when you eat these fresh and living foods, you don't need to take an enzyme because those foods have enough enzymes in them to help your system digest those foods on their own. So it helps your pancreas relax. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically that's what I mean. It's the more healthy the foods are, it's just they have fresh and living enzymes inside of them.
Okay,
That's
cool. So then if someone is eating these fresh and living foods, why are the supplements needed so much in modern society? I can imagine someone saying, well, I eat healthy, I go to the store, I get, the organic, whatever I can. But I took these enzymes and I feel great. So why would a modern diet or someone who gets their food in the grocery store perhaps still need the enzymes, even if they're trying to make health conscious choices?
Perfect. That's an outstanding question. Okay. The apple of today contains nutrients in it, right? But you take the apple of 50 years ago, in order for the apple today to match the same amount of nutrients that one apple of 50 years ago had, you have to eat probably about 200 apples today. Does that make sense?
Wow.
And it's because of the lack of nutrition that's in our soils today. Our soils are so depleted with what they've put in our soils today, with all the chemicals that have just consistently, our farmers have used. The nutrients are just not in the fruits and vegetables today as they were 50 years ago. Cabbage today, it's very hard to find cabbage that has any vitamin C in it today, whereas 50 years ago, cabbage was one of the #1 sources of vitamin C. Today, one of the #1 sources of vitamin C is an acerola cherry. Okay, it's a very great source of true vitamin C. Not only that, but hold on, here comes Lucy. I got to move her real quick. Sorry.
For those of you on audio, Lucy is Rich's cat. Very adorable cat.
Yes. Not only that, none of us are perfect. I mean, there's days, there's days I eat salads with a piece of salmon on top. Now, if I cook that piece of salmon, the salmon is the salmon does not have any enzymes in it. Okay, the reason why is because we cooked it. All enzymes are killed at around 116 degrees. So though that salmon is very healthy, it's not going to contain any enzymes. So we take an enzyme before we eat that salad with the cooked salmon, because the enzymes need help breaking down that piece of salmon. If we put any dressing on top of our salad, that salad dressing most likely in that creative process or in that manufacturing process was pasteurized. And what is pasteurization? That's heat. Okay, and the pasteurization process kills off all nutrients or anything living in that food group. Pasteurized milk today, it's definitely there's no enzymes in it. Okay, unless it comes directly out of the mom's breast. And it's very healthy. Okay, very healthy for kids. So an extremely healthy person today, sure, we all cheat, and we're, a good piece of pizza or burrito every once in a while. I'm not perfect. maybe if I have a burrito or a piece of pizza, I'll take 2 or 3 enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to help my pancreas relax and function the way that it was made to function. Okay. If I don't take the enzyme, that pancreas is going to work overtime. It's going to draw resources from every organ in your system, including your hair and nails. And pretty soon your body's just over time is going to break down because it's trying to digest the food. And this just makes perfect sense because you think of the human body, as soon as you put anything in your mouth, goes in your gut, the body shuts down because its #1 priority is to get rid of that stuff that's now in your gut. And these enzymes break that food down to the smallest molecule, and it absorbs whatever nutrients are in that food, and it's going to extract all of the bad toxins that are in that piece of food and get it out of your system before the heart pumps it away into your joints, which causes gout and arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I even saw a really interesting research study that was comparing eating, it was just like a basic hamburger, and it was group A had a hamburger and group B had a hamburger with just slices of an avocado on it, a raw avocado. And it showed that the group that had the raw avocado with it absorbed 30% more vitamins. I can't remember exactly. I'm just ballparking, but the whole point was the raw food, the raw vegetables included with, and it was just like a couple slices of avocado increased the nutrient absorption and waste removal of the meat because it helped to start to stimulate the enzymes to break down the food. And it's interesting too, if you look at the kind of, I love seeing like traditional wisdom in food and recipes that gets passed down. For example, the idea of having a side salad, a starter salad, having the raw foods and then squeezing lemon juice over it, just packed full of enzymes and acids that help to start the stimulation of the digestion process. So then when you have the bigger course meal and the meat or whatever, your body's already got the engines up and running. And it's like, we just lose all that wisdom because a lot of that is oral tradition that gets passed down from culture or family to family. So, even like, blanching your potatoes and de-seeding them, because the seeds have high levels of lectins and that can cause inflammation. And so, just like all these little pieces of traditional wisdom just goes back to like, nature knows the right way to do it. And we just have lost touch with that and, bringing back those kind of things. And especially nowadays, like you're saying too, just understanding that like it's 2019, it's not going to be 1919 again. We can do everything we can to restore the planet and, kind of alleviate that and get back as close as we can to that traditional way of life where we can use nature to benefit the human organism and create harmony between the two. But we still have to understand that like you're going to be driving down Broadway Ave and there's going to be, like a burger joint and, or like your friends are going to want to go out, and like to have the understanding of the way that nature did it, but then to create some sort of, strategy or product that you can use to, get to that same result, but still be a normal human being in 2019. Like those little strategies like that of like, okay, well, we can incorporate the enzymes in if we can't, I don't have a farm next door. Luckily I'm in Hawaii, so I've got a farmer's market every week, but like sometimes you've just got to find those little ways and strategies. And like it's not like one of my favorite quotes, you aren't what you eat, you are what you absorb, like if you're not absorbing it through the intestinal lining, if those nutrients aren't getting shuttled into the muscle cells and being utilized efficiently, then what's the point?
Yeah. It's very true. It's all disease and all health begins in the gut. And if our gut cannot digest the food properly, what happens? Indigestion, heartburn, toxins start building up, ammonias in your system start to flow through your system. And what does the average person do today when they get heartburn or indigestion? They go buy they buy that pink bottle or those little colorful pills, and they chew them up and swallow them. I can't say the names of them, obviously, but the active ingredient in that pink bottle is aluminum. Oh, that's what I want to put in my system, right? And
Yeah.
what it does, it just covers up the pain, and it's not fixing the actual problem. The actual problem is there's toxins in our body.
Yep.
And so what we do, we just help people, we coach them on to just take an enzyme, and that's going to break down those toxins to the smallest molecules, and it's going to extract it out of our system. You know,
Yeah.
people with bad breath, why do people have bad breath? Well, the body's telling us something, that something's not right inside. We need to do something about it. Okay, body odors, bad, BO, it's because something's not right in our system. And if we don't take care of that now, over time, that will rear its ugly head, which you name all the symptoms and diseases out there, between arthritis and gout and cancer and, anything out there, it all starts in the gut.
Yeah.
That was not taken care of, that could be taken care of now, rather than later when it's too late.
And fungal infections and parasite infections too, especially considering its relation to enzymes, is your immune system's compromised because you're not able to break the stuff down and utilize it efficiently, and then you go even deeper into that conversation with, gluten is another great example, is we don't have the enzymes that are able to break down the gluten molecule. The peptide bond needs to be broken down by the bacteria through the fermentation process, and we don't do that anymore in Western culture. So the enzymes and the bacteria, if we don't have either of those, we're going to have that backup leading to inflammation leading to a compromised immune system, and then the door's open. Parasites, fungus, anything can come in a corner. Holes in the castle wall.
Yeah. I love the fact that you guys know so much about this already. It's music to my ears. I'm in the right group of people right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to really make it super clear to people who may not know as much about these topics, like, think about it. We're talking about organisms, and we're talking about infections. We're talking about viruses, bacteria, fungi. We're talking about organisms, and any organism needs to be in a hospitable environment in order to survive. So your body can either be hospitable or it can be inhospitable to these bad organisms. Your body can either be hospitable or inhospitable to favorable organisms, like all the good bacteria and the probiotics, right? People are downing these probiotics, and don't get me wrong, they're helpful, and I take them sometimes when I need to. But at the same time, you can do it a different way by making sure what you're putting into your gut feeds the good stuff and starves the bad stuff. You're creating an environment, and it's really that simple. This isn't, this isn't like a correlation that we're like going too far with. This isn't something that might be made up. It's really that simple. It's basic biology.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a term I like. It's called holobiont, and it essentially means walking ecosystem. And like, we're literally a walking ecosystem, and like the numbers out now with the research showing that the cells of bacteria on our body compared to our own human cells, they outnumber us 10 to 1. There's 50 million of them and 1 million of our cells, or whatever the number is. It's crazy it's like an inner city. Like, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, the analogy of the cartoon. It's an old movie called Osmosis Jones. Old movie, it's like 10, 15 years ago, where it's like on the inside, you've got this city and different functioning systems. Like, you've got the post office, and then you've got the factories, and the mitochondria are like the power plants that produce the energy for the cell. And if there's not a working infrastructure, like if the power goes out in the city, or if you're not getting good communication between the different facilities, like, of course there's going to be higher crime rates, or, whatever it is, or the system's compromised.
Absolutely. And that's, we could lead into what CBD does in the, later on, but that's, it's all about communicating within the systems in our body. Those communication systems break down, that's when disease begins.
Yeah.
Period. And I heard you guys had the doctor on a couple months ago, and I love the term that he used. It's disease, break that in two parts. Disease, where it's our bodies are at disease. And then the medical field, and I'm a huge fan of Western medicine, by the way. I support doctors. I love them. but why not blend the Eastern medicine with the Western medicine?
Mm-hmm.
And what I do know is that diseases are created just so they can create a drug to treat that disease. You know, a good example is arthritis. Arthritis, and there's a lot of people have really bad arthritis out there. I was an example with my knees. And the reason why arthritis is taking place is because our bodies are at disease because there's uric acid buildup in the joints. And the heart is smart enough to know that it doesn't want that uric acid close to the heart. So it just pumps it out to the farthest regions of the heart, which are the ankles, the joints. And it looks like broken glass under a microscope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what the enzymes do, once we start taking the enzymes, the body starts, the enzymes get into the blood, and there's also stabilized probiotics in these guys.
Oh, wow.
And it gets into the amino acids. It's very simple. And all of a sudden, people that were once looking like this are now looking like this.
Mm-hmm.
Basically their joints begin to straighten out and they become juicy again. And we have testimony after testimony with very skeptical people like those, why didn't my doctor tell me about these? Well, the money. The doctors are told to sell these other drugs out here. They're not educated on enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
And once people start, it's miraculous what happens. And there's countless other symptoms that these are helping people with. Pretty cool. Well, I'm going to do a demonstration real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me just show you this. I do it with a snack pack pudding. And it's not because we eat the snack pack puddings. Now, some people do. I'm not judging. But the reason why we do this is because this is probably some of the most processed food that anybody can eat. And you look at that, it's gunky, it's sticky. And once we eat this, right, this is the stuff that gets into our gut. And it's very, very difficult for our bodies to break this down, okay? So the enzyme that we market, now you can get enzymes anywhere. This is a fully plant-based enzyme. So this covers all of the food groups out there, from lactose, to dairy products, to meat, to poultry, to grains. It has every enzyme in here to break down everything in the human body, or everything that we put into the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So once we introduce this to our system, before we eat anything that's cooked, processed, or heated, it's very important. Again, if you eat a fresh banana, fresh vegetables that are not cooked, you don't need to take an enzyme because those will help our bodies break down on their own, okay? So you just start stirring this, and you're going to see in a matter of seconds, it's not just going to liquefy this, it's actually converting the food particles down to the smallest molecule. So people that are not watching this, basically I just put the enzyme capsule, I get it out to the pudding. Now this is outstanding for children or kids, or if somebody doesn't like to swallow pills, that's fine. Just empty the contents in their food or in a drink or whatever. Just get it into the system. That's fine too. Then the body just starts digesting the food. Now I can set this aside, and these little guys will continue to work.
You can see it's already dissolving. Yeah. It's already liquefying it.
It's already doing it. So just give it a couple more minutes here, and it's going to be like water. Now, think how much more happy our gut is when it has the enzymes in it. So think of the enzymes like, remember that old video game Pac-Man, Nicole? You guys probably aren't old enough to remember this game, right?
I know Pac-Man.
Yep. But the enzymes are like Pac-Man. It just gets into your system, and they're always working. They're always looking for toxins to eat and to convert those proteins into amino acids. It looks for the uric acids to convert. And then you have those stabilized probiotics. The stabilized probiotics are very cool. What I mean by stabilized is they're stable until they're called upon. So you take this capsule with the enzyme and the probiotics, The probiotics get into your small intestines, and they colonize that. And when they're needed, that's when they go to work. I know you can go to the grocery store and you see the probiotics that are refrigerated, right? So what happens when you eat when you swallow those refrigerated probiotics and it hits your heated system? Well, most of them are going to die pretty quickly.
Yep.
So they're not as effective as they could. Okay. But look at what's happened in this pudding. Okay.
Wow. Guys, if you're watching the audio, you gotta see the video of this on YouTube.
And it's
wow.
And I could just set this aside, and eventually we could come back and you'll actually see the color separated from the water that's in here. Now, of course, like I showed this to my mom, and she kind of freaked. She was like, "Am I going to be running to the toilet every time?" I was like, "No, Mom. It's not a laxative." But the waste that comes out of our body, I mean, that's normal. You feed a baby. What does the baby do? The baby goes poop. Okay, that's normal. As adults, when we eat, eventually we have to go to the bathroom, and we should be going to the bathroom relatively soon after we eat a big meal. That's normal. There's a lot of people out there that don't go to the bathroom for days, and they're wondering what's wrong. Well, the body is stuffed up. So the enzymes will help everybody go more frequent. If people are going too frequently before the enzymes are going to help them pull back and stop them from running to the toilet, because now it helps balance out the system. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The enzymes, actually, it's not the enzymes that are fixing us. The enzymes are actually helping the organs relax and do what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So now it's not the enzymes that are healing us. The body now begins to heal itself the way that it was created. Mm-hmm. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, and if you've heard my tagline too, JERF, just eat real food, I always take it back to that. If you look at those raw vegetables and fruits, what else is included with it? Because I was having a conversation with a client who is having nutrient deficiency problems, and so her doctor, of course, like put her on 4 different types of pills and stuff, and then she got super constipated from it. And you look at what's the cure. Well, if we're eating raw vegetables that have these high levels of enzymes, they're also chocked full of fiber, and they're mostly water. All of these things are the essential ingredients to gut motility that allows for that easy passage through. And it's just like, people just don't even realize, like, it's all there already for you.
It's so simple. So simple. And the side effects are just outrageous these days. I mean, you guys have seen the commercials.
Sad.
You're having a problem with headaches, take this, but you're going to have all these other side effects and eventually probably lose a big toe, but your headache is gone. And the list goes on and on.
At the end. It's like, and possibly death.
That's right. Open sores and death. Yeah. It's outrageous. You speak with a lot of retired athletes today, and this is a crazy statistic that I did read, that the average professional athlete, after their careers are done, they have livers that have signs of being an alcohol their entire life, because their livers are so inflamed from all the ibuprofen that they've been taking throughout their careers. It's at what cost are we willing, to get rid of our aches and pains and whatever symptoms that we have? Yep. Our bodies are nutrient deficient. We're not Tylenol or ibuprofen deficient.
Yep.
And
love that.
So that's what we just need to get the word out and just help people understand that it's not complicated. Fresh and living foods. And if we're not eating fresh and living foods, have one of these enzymes with us that's fully plant-based, that's given to us by nature, and just help our pancreas relax and do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I love that, man. I have a quick question for you. What's your take on apple cider vinegar?
Ooh, I love it. I take it every morning.
Yes.
Apple cider vinegar with fresh lemon and some locally harvested honey. As a matter of fact, that's what's in here right now. So I love it.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah, packed full of enzymes in that sucker. That's how I usually do that with a dressing on my salads too. A little bit of lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and olive oil. And even if you want to get crazy fancy, you can mince up some garlic and then throw it in a bottle, and some rosemary, whatever herbs you want, and then make yourself your own little dressing. Because
Oh
it's
my
always,
gosh.
people want the convenience, right? You know, and it's like, okay, well, let's take the health, but make it easy for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's outstanding. I'm going to do that next time for sure.
Yeah, super easy, man. Yeah, lemon juice, vinegar, olive oil, and then
Yeah.
salt,
No
garlic,
need
pepper,
to
whatever
take an
else you want
enzyme,
to put
you
in.
know, because that has plenty of it,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. You know, when we eat, we're not supposed to get tired after we eat. Food is meant to give us energy and fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And too many people, and you can walk to the water cooler at work and just hear people complaining about being tired and this and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, you offer them a natural help, and they're like, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Because they've been conditioned that we are kooks. And I really feel that times are reversing. People are tired of that, of listening to those commercials, and we're going back to the way it was before big pharmaceutical got involved.
Yep.
You know,
That's my client
nature
base. I've got those people coming to me and they're like, man, they're fed up. You know, that's the beauty of things like this, these podcasts, is where we can transfer this information instantaneously worldwide to people and say, hey, there's a better way. And not only is it better, it's cheaper and more convenient, you know? And then, you know, one of my big pushes is the JERF, you know, just eat real food. But you also have to consider, like, these people aren't in a state of health. Like, one of my big topics of conversation is the bell curve of health and sickness. And down the middle, you've got the line of 50-50. And on the right side, you have people that are healthy. And on the left side, you have people that are sick. And if you're on the left side of the bell curve, just adding a serving of broccoli a day isn't going to do it. There's so much accumulative inflammation. There's such a compromised system. Like, that's when these supplements come in so critically, because they need that extra assistance, even if it's just a temporary thing, to give them, you know, get them back to a state of health to where then they can, you know, dial back and go more towards, you know, plant-based and all that. But like, some of these products, like this product with the enzymes and the probiotics in one, like, that is essential for some of these people that live off of, you know, processed food, and they are not only, you know, not getting enough sleep, but they're not exercising either. And then they have, you know, a bad social environment. You know, there's so many factors that accumulate. And that's when, like, products like this, that's why I absolutely love this, you know. And like, I'm a big advocate of supplements in the right context, because some people, that it's just not enough for them to just go for a walk and eat an extra salad a day. You know, they need some of this extra help.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can definitely say when I was younger, healthy habits was able to do it. And now it's not because I'm older, right? Like, the myths of aging, like, what we consider aging is what happens after you've abused your body for 30, 40, 50 years, right? So not because I was older, but because I wasn't able to take care of myself as much. Those of you who know my backstory as the super busy mommy coach, it's like burnt out, not enough sleep, not enough exercise, you know, like doing the best I can with food, but you know, that's when the supplements really came into play, when the stress levels were way too high and I couldn't take care of myself. And so, yeah, I definitely take some supplements, and I'm looking forward to the day when I move to Maui to open whatever we're going to open, John. And I can cut all that out because I'm doing everything the way I'm supposed to be doing it, you know? Yeah, no, absolutely. And also just about like I don't believe in that. I think it's really important. Like, I think, yes, it's true that a lot of these interventions we talk about, there is not enough scientific evidence to necessarily say X, Y, Z, but I think it's important to know why that is, right? So first of all, saying that there's not scientific evidence for something doesn't mean it's not true, because you're not saying there's scientific evidence against it. It usually means it hasn't been studied enough to come to a conclusion. Now, who funds studies? Yes, sometimes it's nonprofits, or sometimes it's organizations of practitioners, or whatever the case may be. But often these studies are funded by pharmaceuticals and industries that have, you know, they have they have a say, not a say necessarily, but they're invested in an outcome one way or the other. And so they're going to, by nature of business, right? This isn't like a bunch of like shadowy people behind a curtain, like conspiracy theory, just by nature of the way business works. If you own a business or you're running a business, you can't say, I'm going to invest money in something that has absolutely no impact on improving my business. They're going to invest things that can improve the business. And that's why a lot of these topics aren't being studied. But that doesn't mean that they don't actually work. And it's really important to understand that, because if someone comes to you and says, well, there's no scientific evidence to back that up, okay, has it been studied? Is there scientific evidence against it? Is there evidence of traditions lasting thousands of years, and maybe we could use that as evidence to support it as opposed to scientific studies? There are a lot of ways to think about these things.
Mm-hmm. And do you look too, like where's, like if we're just so conditioned in the Western society to only validate in trial, white coat, sterile, clean, cubic box, not globally applicable stuff. And then you go back and like traditional Chinese medicine. I mean, I used to be the guy that was like that woo-woo stuff. And like now that I look back, like that was original medical science. Like
For sure.
they have more data on all of this stuff for thousands of years. They just were lock and key. They didn't share with anybody else, So probably smart on their part for certain things. But, like now a lot of that's coming out, like where Oriental medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, they're like, oh yeah, I mean, there's tons. We got thousands of years of that data of this stuff working, and herbs that help stimulate the production of these enzymes and or bacteria or what have you, that it's like the evidence is there. It's just, again, too, like who's the messenger giving this information.
Just because it didn't show up in the scientific journal of blah 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 doesn't mean there's not evidence, and doesn't mean it's not valid. And now, don't get me wrong, you should always evaluate the evidence, right? That doesn't mean you should just listen to every holistic claim of every supplement that's out there. But John and I wouldn't have Rich on this podcast if we hadn't done that and feel really strongly that this is one of the good ones that you should pay attention to. I mean, I took it myself. Like, so, after our conversations with Rich, I was like, hey, do you have like a sample size or a travel size that I could get from you? And so he like generously sends me this sample bottle with a handwritten note. Okay. A handwritten note with all the information I needed, how to take it. It was the sweetest thing ever. And the first couple days, I didn't take enough of it probably because I didn't notice. But then the last 2 days before the bottle ran out, I like amped up how many I was taking. And like, you can ask Rich, I texted him. I'm like, I need another bottle now. And he's like, all right, yeah, here's the thing. I'm like, when am I supposed to get it? He's like, yeah, by like next Wednesday. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do till next Wednesday? Because I could feel the difference in my body. And I told Rich this. I was like, I usually run very cold, and I feel warm when other people, seem like, when it seems like I should be feeling cold compared to what other people are saying, I feel warmer than I usually do. And that could be a sign of my metabolism firing up. Well, Rich, I didn't get to tell you this, but a couple days later, I stepped on the scale and not doing anything differently. I had dropped like 2 pounds, and it's hard to say how much of that was like fat or like bloating or like whatever bad stuff was released. It was just, I felt better. I could tell the difference. And I was like, yeah, no, you got to send me a bottle. Like, do you have expedited shipping? I don't know what to do. Like overnight that stuff. Like,
for anybody that doesn't know Nicole, she is a very rigorous analytical woman. So that means this stuff works damn good if she's saying that.
Yeah, John knows me. Oh, and John, by the way, the bottle should come before Wednesday. And so I told Rich, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take these to the summit. I'm going to give John some of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And it reminds me of a quote by Carl Sagan: absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Yes.
I have to remember that N equals 1. And until you try this stuff, like we can tell you all day long, guys. And like, that's ultimately our goal, is to give you that pathway, to provide you with just incredible resources like Rich, to be able to be like, hey guys, just try it out for yourself. And then that experiential moment of learning, that's like you just said, Nicole, like, Oh my God. And like, we're healthy people for the most part. Like, we do a pretty dang good job at keeping up on our stuff. We practice what we preach. But until you have that, like, whoa, you know, like, I didn't realize how critical that actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I can speak to that definitely. Like, you know, I am pretty regimented with stuff. Like I'm pretty strict with what I eat and everything. I mean, I could show you. I literally have my meal prep ready to go after this call. Shove it in. I got my you know, lean organic chicken breast over there. Got veggies in a pan with avocado oil because it has a high enough smoke point. I mean, I am anal with this
You're on
stuff.
it. You're
And so,
on it.
I mean, that's one of the things. A lot of times these supplements that are like that work wonders for other people, and I would totally recommend them, and they're wonderful, but I don't necessarily feel the effects because I'm already doing most things, you know, I'm already doing so much for my body. And this
Mhm.
is one of the few that I take it and I really notice the difference within 4 days.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, these enzymes just unlock the nutrition that's in the food we eat. It's that simple. It just makes it, and you know, a term we used in the Marine Corps was high speed, low drag. And that's what these enzymes make me feel. I mean, I was already feeling pretty healthy, with the exception of my knees that were giving out. But yeah, as soon as I said, took about a week, I was high speed, low drag. You know, at the age of 48, I just feel 100% all the time. And I wake up, you know, I wake up early and I go to bed, you know, later, but I have energy the whole time. You know, it's after
Wow.
I eat big meals, you know, when everybody else is groggy because they just finished that big meal because their bodies are shut down.
Mhm.
After, you know, my wife and I, we take a couple enzymes before that big meal. We have energy at the end of the meal. We
Mhm.
have the energy to play with our kids, to play with the nieces and nephews around while everybody else is sleeping.
Mhm.
And it's just a true gift that we can give our bodies. Our bodies
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
It reminds me too of like I always go to target audiences of like, well, who could this be applicable for? And like you're saying right there, like fucking everybody, you know, it improves your quality of life. And those are the kind of general threads that we're trying to find. And like, great example, traveling. You're just not gonna be able to meal prep and do the things that you need to do. And so having, you know, another really big supplement that I recommend is a greens powder, like Athletic Greens.
I've
You know,
heard of that. Yeah.
just if you don't have the access, you need to get that extra dose of these enzymes. You need to get that extra dose of these greens. Another great one that I think of for the sports performance realm is bodybuilders. And, you know, for the carbohydrate refeed days, you know, when you have those high insulin level intakes, carbohydrate intake days, because there's like I believe it's called CG3 or C3G. It's cyana something something. It's one of the pigments that helps to basically shuttle more glucose into the muscle cells, and it's in blackberries and dark cherries and black beans, and it's like I think there's even like a black bean extract out there or something, but the significance of it is very, very minute. And so I've always been experimenting with like, how could I eat more carbs to get a growth response, but not like be just destroyed and bloated after, you know, 300 grams of rice, you know? And like, just thinking about this, like what a perfect way for people to be able to get that high level of insulin to stimulate higher levels of muscle growth, but not have to worry about the bogged down, you know, gut inflammation and bloating that comes from having that refeed meal. It's like, now that I think about it, I'm like, man, that would be genius, is to have those enzymes prior to your
Yeah.
big refeed meal.
Yeah. It's imperative. Anybody that eats, it's imperative that we break our foods down to the smallest molecule. Because if we don't, when is that going to, you know, turn its ugly head on us in the future? The
Yeah.
form of disease, because that molecule isn't broken down. It could be hiding somewhere in our small intestines for years and years and years, and then toxins, and it begins to pollute our river of life, our blood system, right?
Sure.
And then what happens from there? It gets worse and worse, and then what diseases grow out of that?
Yeah.
That is pretty extreme, but it's reality, right?
That's reality,
We have to
man.
break our foods
Leaky
down.
gut. That's everybody now.
Yeah.
Every client that I have that has an autoimmune disease, it's because they have intestinal impermeability, which is just leaky gut. It's bioaccumulation of toxins that break down the function of the intestinal lining. And now you've got bad guys in the bloodstream. And then your immune system goes, that's not supposed to be here. Attack, inflammatory response. And then you do that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, traffic, come home, stressful. You know, it's just like that bioaccumulation is so huge. If we don't have something that's helping to get that stuff out of you, like, man. And like, of course, then you look at like, again, fungus infections, parasite infections, 90 to 95% of the world population has a fungus or a parasite infection, chronic autoimmune disease, something like that. And it's like mind blowing because people are, you know, falling for this gimmick that you can just take an ibuprofen, or you can take this little Band-Aid, it's going to fix it. And it's like, you know, it's in the gut. Like you said, how we open, you know, it's all in the gut.
Yep.
I'm sweating now. You got me going.
I know. I'm going to run through brick walls after listening to you. This is such good stuff.
We're all hyped right now. It's like, get some enzymes. Come on.
I love it.
You're going to be going home with some back to Maui while I come back to New York. But, you know, New York's nice this kind of time of year. I like Rockaway. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, shoot, we could go on and on and on.
We could go on and on. But so, Rich, you're going to make sure you send us the links so that we can include those in those show notes, and everybody will be able to log in, find out more about you, find out more about your mentors, everything that you're doing. The CBD oil, which we'll get into in a future episode. Rich isn't just a one-trick guy here. You know, he has a lot going. We're going to include all of this in the show notes so that anybody who wants will be able to, just click the link and try any of this out for yourself, because you absolutely should. And don't get me wrong, you should do all of the good behaviors first. You should be, you know, eating real jerfing. You should be eating, you know, real foods. You should be, you should be chewing your foods well so that the enzymes in your saliva are breaking them down. Stress management, sleeping enough, blah, blah, blah. You should do all of that. And then for whatever help you still need after that, something like this is going to be a life changer, you know?
Yep.
So, you know, give it a shot. Even if this isn't the one for you, I think for most of you it will be, but then try things out until you figure out what your unique body needs, you know? But I mean, this right here, this stuff is really high quality, real stuff.
Yeah. Plant-based too. I couldn't get behind it more so, man. This is definitely the good stuff, guys. You have to check it out. Rich, where can they find you online? Where's your main?
For sure, I will share the link. I'm building a website. It's up and running, but it's not populated. I'll have it up and running within a week. But it's called plant.5280. Okay. Yep. I will. I'll post all this. I'll post information, the links to get the product. You know, we're pretty passionate to just for our transparency and honesty and fairness. That's, you know, just education. Nicole, you hit it right on the spot. Our job is just to educate people, and then everybody can evaluate what and where to get. As long, you know, we just want to change the world, help people feel better and think better and do better things. And, you know, stop with this nonsense with the shootings and the anger, and it all starts in the gut. And
education before medication.
Amen.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, those of you listening, by the time this comes out, that website probably will be live already. So check it out now. Yeah, Rich, thank you so much for being on here. It has been such a pleasure nerding out with you.
Wonderful time, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Can't wait to join you guys at that next health retreat for sure.
Hey, man. If you want to come to Maui before then, you're always welcome.
Yeah, I'm all in with that one for sure.
Oh, yeah. I know how Long Island in the mountains.
Yeah, so it doesn't take much to get people to Maui. Yeah, awesome. Well, can't wait to see you at the next one and to see you on a future episode so we can get into that CBD oil a little bit more.
Absolutely. We got to talk about that. That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right.
You guys are the very best. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you for being here, Rich. And thank you all of you for listening to Optimizing Human Potential, Mind, Body, and Soul, brought to you by the Holistic Therapies Directory. Make sure you like, share, comment, follow us, subscribe, everything. And again, those of you who were listening to this on audio, check out the visual on YouTube, search for Holistic Therapies Directory so that you can see the demonstrations and see my son waving buses in front of the camera and Rich's cat. So
for all you guys, if you're listening, especially if you're one of my friends, hint, hint, go to iTunes and leave us a review so that way we can get greater exposure. And like the whole theme of this episode and all the episodes ultimately that we're producing, we just want to raise awareness. We just want to improve the life quality of humanity and the planet. So by leaving us a review, by sharing this with your loved ones, you guys are contributing to the cause. Together we rise. This is our opportunity to share this information, get this out to the people, and create long-term sustainable change for everyone on the planet. So thank you guys so much for supporting us and leaving us a review.